Hi everyone, welcome to the Path to Reason. I'm your host Cindy Plaza, and tonight I have a very special guest, Brina Ryce. Hi Brina, how are you
Hi.
doing?
I'm doing great, and I loved your little intro. That was
Oh,
lovely.
thanks. Yeah, a friend of mine did it. Thank you, Wes. Again, he's been doing this for me without me asking, so he's very nice. Um,
That's
so, can
awesome.
you please introduce yourself? What kind of activism you're in? These kind of things.
Yeah, my name is Brina Ryce. I have my own YouTube channel. I talk about different social and cultural issues from a skeptic perspective. Some of those things have to do specifically with atheism and religion, and other stuff just has to do with cultural and social issues that I care about and feel like talking about that day. So,
Okay, great. So your the link towards your channel is in the description of this video. So please don't hesitate to go and have a look to what she does. Um, so first, I'm going to start with the question I ask to all my guests.
okay.
So if we remove all your activism, everything you do on the internet, and the reasons why most people know you, what's left? Who's Brina, the human being?
Well, I am somebody who doesn't get out much, actually. I like I'm a homebody. I have a lovely 3-year-old husky and 2 cats at home. And in my free time, I really enjoy watching binge watching TV shows, movies, playing board games with my life partner and husband, and painting and reading and also writing. I one day would love to publish a fiction novel. So that would be one of my goals in life outside of my activism that I don't talk about much. So, yep.
Nice. Well, maybe we could do a video specific about that. The painting you have behind you, did you do it?
Oh no, no, that's a tape. What do they call it? Tapestry. It's a cloth that I
Oh, okay.
that I got off of Etsy, I think.
Okay.
But
Um,
yeah, I do watercolor mostly. It's nothing that I'm like fantastic at, but it's calming and I enjoy it. And it's kind of similar to why I enjoy putting on makeup because it's like painting for me and it's calming. Yeah, so just one of the things that I enjoy in life, especially to get through those anxiety, depressive episodes. Um, brings me back to that happy place.
like when you hear that Rittenhouse has been acquitted.
Yes, yeah, kind of like that. It's been an emotional roller coaster today. I've been dealing with some anger, but you know what? I calmed down and I did my makeup and I was like, I'm gonna do a live stream today, and we're not gonna be talking about that.
No, definitely not. So, no, tonight we're going to talk about intelligence because there's a lot to say about this. Because there isn't a real definition about intelligence. If you look at what scientists say, they tend to say different thing. We talk about IQ, we talk about EQ, and then there are other forms of intelligence. Um, what do you think it is? How would you define it?
Oh gosh. Hmm. I don't know because there's different kinds of intelligence. So I think that's why it's such a hard answer. You could find someone that would be really intelligent, like book smart. Maybe there's a specific subject that they really excel in, but then they might lack social, emotional intelligence. And then you could also have it vice versa. And then, there's also the fact that there's people that maybe their intelligence comes from um what's the word I'm looking for? Not a privilege, but certain abilities that they might have due to their brain. Maybe they have like a photographic memory or something. And then there's other people where maybe their lack of intelligence could have more to do with miseducation and not having the privilege of certain educations that other people have. So I don't know. That's a hard one to define, I think, for the reasons that I just said.
Yeah. Do you link intelligence and education?
Um, now that you ask, well, oh goodness. Oh, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I guess depending on what type of intelligence we're talking about, like if we're talking about book intelligence, like intelligence about maybe geography or history or math, then I think it would have to be linked to education because without the proper tools, you wouldn't really have the ability to know those things, even if it's self-taught. You have to educate yourself in that sense. But then I think there's also intelligence that could be found outside of education. Um, and the fact of just I guess through social interactions probably, and what we might, um, define as common sense, although I don't know if I really like that term because things that are common sense is gonna be different to everybody depending
Mm.
on, whether they're, like, neurotypical or neurodivergent too, so, um, yeah, I don't know. But I'm definitely willing to learn today.
I know, yeah, I don't know if you're going to learn something, but the way I've been defining it for a very long time, it's we could call it computation power. Like if you compare the human body to a computer,
Mhm.
the intelligence would be the equivalent of the processor. And the fastest the processor is, the more complicated and the more operation you can do at the same time. So that's so basically it's being able to take in a lot of information, process it, and then analyze it. That's how I thought about intelligence so far.
Okay, interesting.
And yeah, and this when when we talk about humans and animals, humans tend to say that we are superior to animals because we are smarter, and
Mhm.
it's often hard to understand what they mean with that, because how smarter are we than a dolphin or other species? And my problem with that is that we judge other species with our own metric of intelligence. There's a quote that I think it's attributed to Einstein. I don't know if it's true. Couldn't find it, but it says basically, I paraphrase. It says, if you evaluate a fish on his ability to climb trees, he will spend his entire life thinking he's stupid. And that's what we do with animals. We look at them with our perspective, and we don't see the intelligence that they show in their environment. For example, I would say that damaging your surroundings to the point where you can't live in it, that's stupid to me. And yet, that's what humans do. So
Yes.
yeah, again, this intelligent thing is I don't like it, especially when I see atheists online claiming that people who hold a fringe belief are stupid. That
Mhm.
drives me crazy. And also the fact that when we compare ourselves to animals, we use intelligence as a metric. But when we compare ourselves to other humans, we don't use intelligence. See, we
Yeah.
we use the appearance, money, social status, gender, everything like this, but
Mhm.
rarely intelligence. So I think there's a double standards here that I find kind of hypocritical. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I love that you brought up how we evaluate animals because that's something that I think about a lot, especially because one of my little hyperfixations for a long time was orcas. And I love watching documentaries on that species particularly. And it's interesting how, again, we're judging them for capabilities that they don't have because they're not living in our environment and it's a different
Yeah.
species, but we still see echoes of, you know, things that like orcas do, like carrying down traditions and teaching different hunting practices depending on where they live. There's even different dialects with how they speak underwater, the voices, the vocals that they use to communicate, and different languages essentially with different pods, which is one of the only other
Mm.
species that we've documented doing that, besides us, of course.
Which
So
makes sense,
yeah,
because they're so far away in different places of the planet that totally makes sense.
it's so interesting, I think, with orcas specifically because they look the same, but like humans, they can look the same and be completely different depending on their pod and their culture, and they'll have different hunting techniques and different diets. So I've always been really fascinated by that species particularly, but it also kind of reminded me how we're still so misguided and miseducated when it comes to the intellect of animals, and we're still learning so much. I mean, just recently, there's been sort of a um, you've seen like an increase of people using buttons to communicate with their dogs and cats. Like we only just
Yeah.
realized that, hey, they can understand the words that we're saying. Maybe if we give them a way to communicate using those words, we can better understand how they think and what their intellect level is. And, you know, it's been fascinating to watch some of these studies go on and just, you know, witnessing specific channels. I can't remember their names right now, but just their dog, how their dog communicates and how their dog thinks, and the way that they view the world. It's just been very fascinating, and very telling of how just uh, behind we've been with our research, and I guess just entitled and thinking that somehow we must have the superior intelligence because of the way that we communicate versus other species.
Yeah, I remember I read a book of Dean Koontz. I don't know if you know him. Um, he he wrote kind of I don't know, thriller, and a very little bit of science inside. Like this book I'm thinking about, I don't remember the title, but
Hmm.
basically, some scientists made a dog smarter and as smart as we are, and so the couple that takes the dog in, they use Scrabble letters to allow him uh,
Oh.
to communicate, and I love that book, and I need to read it again because it was yeah, very very nice, and yeah, it was he wrote that about 10-15 years ago maybe, so he
Yeah.
was ahead of his time.
Right, and it's scary a little too because you see, I know, again, I wish I could remember the name, but I can't right now. Maybe I'll comment it if I remember later. But I know with one of these dogs, you see them asking questions that's almost like having an existential crisis or something because they're like, you dog," and then the owner is like, "No, I'm human. You're dog." And then they're like, their name's Bunny. I remember their dog's name now. It's Bunny. And then Bunny will be like, "No, Bunny, human, mom human." And then when she says, "No, you're dog," then she says, "Okay, bunny dog, mom dog." Because it, like, the
Yeah,
trying
he
to
wants to identify
understand.
himself to his parents. Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's so beautiful and also it's kind of tragic just because you think of if our species survives long enough, you know, have we, I guess just the question of how we've treated other species and um the harm that that's caused and how like we've kind of gotten away with it or like put it out of sight out of mind because we've convinced ourselves that humans are somehow different, and more deserving or more entitled to this planet. And I think when we're faced with the fact that might very well not be true, we're going to have some serious moral questions that we need to answer and face, if we care about what is moral and what is right.
yeah. But I think as long as we will have religions, this question will stay in the closet because this is too far away for
Also
religion
very
to
true.
accept.
Yes, because most religions see humans obviously like it's all centered around our species, right?
Yes,
And
of
we've
course.
some have this ownership, or we've inherited the earth essentially and all the species that are in it, if you go by Christianity. So yeah, agree with that too.
So the new concept or idea that I wanted to talk about tonight, well, actually, it's not really new because it comes from a book written in 1976, so before I was born. And the book is called The Basic Laws of Human Stupidity by Carlo Cipolla.
Okay.
And so basically, it's been navigating between humor and research, because what he says is very true, but he presented it in a way that's funny. And so in on Amazon, for example, his book is classified as humor,
Okay.
which I found funny because it's I found his way of saying it interesting. So he describes intelligence and stupidity not as I described it, computation power, but as two factors. Does your action cause loss to yourself or not, and does it harm yourself or not, does it harm others or not? And with these two criteria, he has a map, and he says, so those who hurt themselves and others, they're called stupid people. Those who hurt themselves but benefit others, they're helpless people. Those who benefit themselves but hurt others, they're bandits. And those who benefit everyone, it's intelligent people.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
I like
what do you
that.
think about that?
It's something I've never like thought about, I guess, in that context. I mean, I thought about being a secular humanist and how my goal and everyone's goal, I feel like, as a human should be to, what is best for humanity on a wider scale. But I've never thought of it in that, I guess, the almost simplistic way he was able to just say that.
Yeah, yeah.
I was a little concerned when at first until he said, if you just hurt yourself, then you're helpless. Because at first I was like, well, if you hurt yourself, I wouldn't say that you're stupid.
Yeah.
Because we do that all the time, unfortunately. But yeah, so far I kind of like it. I'm definitely intrigued.
So it's not harming yourself, it's performing actions that will end up hurting yourself. It's not like
Yeah.
having accidents or thing like that. It's taking decisions that will
Mhm.
hurt yourself, like voting for
Right.
someone who doesn't care about you, for
Oh,
example.
okay. Yeah, yeah. I guess what popped into my mind instantly was thinking about people that suffer from addictions or mental health issues that cause them to harm themselves, whether it's ED. So that's kind of what popped into my mind, I guess when I first heard it. So, but
Yeah,
that
no,
that makes sense as well what you
yeah, I
said.
don't think that's what he meant.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
um, So, in addition to that, he has five fundamental laws of stupidity. The first one is always and inevitably, everyone underestimates the number of stupid individuals in circulation. In that definition and in that context, we tend to underestimate the number of people who will make decisions that not only hurt others, because we know that that happens a lot, but also at the same time hurt themselves. So, do you think it's true?
Uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about because you mentioned about voting for somebody that hurts your own interest, and I'm just thinking about American politics now. Um, I mean, yes, yes, I've seen that. We witness it a lot, especially I think um, with I mean, something that obviously I've paid attention to a lot since 2016 was, the election in the United States and the amount of people that on both sides of the party really can vote against their own interest, um, and that's ultimately hurting themselves and hurting other people. So, um, yeah, and it's always astonished me. I always want to have more, I guess, faith or confidence in humanity, but seems like you always end up getting disappointed a little bit because it feels like a little inevitable that you're always going to underestimate the amount of people out there that will do stupid things, and it's hard to understand why because nobody thinks that they're being an idiot. You know, they don't do something aware that they're on the wrong side of history. Um, Most people think that they're doing the right thing. Um, I mean, w- most people aren't going to actively look at themselves and think that they're the villain. At least I would hope so. I would think that. I mean, it's a little bit different, I think, when you go into politicians and you add money and all of that into it, because then it's a little bit more muddy waters, I think, there. But as citizens, I would like to think that most people believe that they're in the right. Unfortunately, some people are so far gone that it's hard to know how to educate them or help them at all in order to help other people so that they stop hurting other people. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to say hi to everyone in the chat. Hi, Bearded Heretic, and hi, everyone who is live right now. So the second law of fundamental laws of stupidity is uh, I think it's also very interesting because it contradicts everything we instinctively believe. It says the
Yeah.
probability that a certain person will be stupid is independent of any other characteristic of that person, whether it's education, whether it's social status, gender, anything. There is no correlation between those factors. So to him, you are not stupid people in his decision in his definition because you're poor, for example. The two are not connected.
But not because you're poor, but because why?
um, he doesn't explain why.
He just says that they're not connected. Okay.
Yes,
Okay. I don't know if I fully that does push back against everything. I guess
because
huh.
you have very smart people who will uh, succumb to conspirationism, to pseudomedicine, to those kind of things, and according to him, the rate of mistakes for those people is the same as for poor people.
You know, that's not wrong. I mean, you can be extremely intelligent and believe really bad ideas. So if that's not the correlation, I guess the question I have is what is, and makes me wonder if it's not
I
education, is it like being, I guess, you know, what makes us susceptible to falling for conspiracy theories then? If it's not miseducation, if it's not undereducation, what is it? I mean, the only thing I can think of is like fear mongering and playing on somebody's emotions because when we're in an emotional state, then a lot of our ability to think critically, um, we're not tapped into it.
yeah, I don't know if conspiracies were a good example because the attraction of conspiracies is mitigated a lot by critical thinking. But I think the way he sees stupidity is as an inherent characteristic of humans,
Hmm.
of certain humans, just like uh, some other natural traits like jealousy, like everything else.
Right. And like what that he just thinks some humans have that trait more than others. Is that kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
okay? I mean, I don't know that you would just I feel like then we're getting into like a nature versus nurture thing
yeah.
because if you relate it to like other things that you can feel and experience like jealousy, then that could have more to do with I mean, the way you experience jealousy can change depending on your environment and your own uh personal like your experiences basically that you have. So then I wouldn't know that it would be an innate thing. I mean, I think we're all capable of experiencing jealousy, but the way that we regulate those emotions, I think, can be dependent on experience. So nurture versus nature.
Yeah, I think the fact that we have something inherent doesn't mean we cannot change it to control it. Someone
Yeah.
who is jealous can learn in time to control it or even make it disappear. So it's not like it's a fatality. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I should I need to read his book to be more into
I'm
what he
interested
wanted
in
to
reading
say.
it now too.
Uh,
Bearded Heretic brought up a point too that kind of that I was thinking with
yes.
the idea of, because that depending, I mean, it seems like from this author he's saying just people in general, but yeah, I think it could lead to picking apart which people on the basis of, marginalized groups and people of color.
Well, that's the thing. He says that the second law says that being stupid is independent of anything else. It doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's not related to skin color,
Right.
social interaction, social status, anything else. It's all those things regarding to intelligence are irrelevant to him.
Mhm. Okay. I'm gonna have to read this book.
Yeah, yeah, me
Because
too.
now I'm like, my interest is very piqued, and I feel like I need to understand this way of thinking better. And plus, it's a bonus that it's supposed to be humor. So
Yeah. So the third law says a stupid person is a person who causes loss to another person or to a group of persons, while himself deriving no gain and even possibly incurring losses. So that's one of the. Um,
causes loss to another person while getting no gain.
yeah,
Okay.
or even possibly incurring losses. So that's the way we defined it earlier: loss to themselves, loss to or harm to themselves, harm to other people.
Sounds like a
Yeah,
very vindictive person. um, Either somebody who's very vindictive or somebody who is, I guess, very stupid. Is the only way. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking because you brought up voting before. So now I'm thinking about voting again because either you're a vindictive person and you just want to hurt other people even if it harms yourself because you get some sort of, well, I guess he said no gain out of it, but
yeah.
some sort of enjoyment, I would presume. Or if you're just stupid, then you're just um I don't know.
Yeah, it's I think it's an interesting topic to start a discussion, not to say okay that's how it is, but it helps trigger questions and things to think about.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
I
my
don't
cat.
know how. Oh, are you laughing at your cat?
Yeah, he's just right here, and he's looking at me, moving my hands like he's going to hit me. So I
Oh
would just
no.
like to point out was what Bernard Heretic said. He says, "Sorry to make it serious. I work with people with learning disabilities, so it's an important subject to me. It's an important discussion to be had, though. Yes, I totally agree with that. And if you want to come to my show and talk about it, then just send me an email or contact me on Facebook or whatever,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about it." Um, so yes, it's I think that's that's why it's still in the humor side, because I don't think it's been proven by science so far. I haven't seen anything that goes this way.
Right. So it's
Some
basically
scientists
his
even say it's,
opinion.
yeah,
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Interesting. I mean, it does make you think a little bit. If his ideas were to be true, I guess, like if you make that presumption just for the sake of the conversation and for the trying to puzzle it out in your brain how that would work. I guess I am still having trouble separating it from completely from
Education.
education. Yeah, because and I
Mm,
don't mean education in the sense of like just school education, but I just think awareness and experiences because I do
mm,
think being brought up in a very, for example, a very conservative small town and getting that culture shock if you ever go outside of that town because you're not used to seeing whether it be people of color or people that are wearing different types of garments due to their religious beliefs or people speaking different languages. I do think that can inhibit your ability to care about other people outside of your personal circle and outside of your group and people that you don't understand because you just haven't been given the proper tools to understand. And I guess the education, it's almost not really education. It's almost like just experience and an awareness. Like there's a lack of
mm.
awareness there that I think is needed um, for us, especially, I think best brought in at a younger age during your adolescent years and growing up in order for you to really understand. And a lot of that can be done through fictional works and TV shows when it comes to diversity and seeing people that are different from you and just recognizing them as your fellow humans and people that deserve respect and the same rights. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if he doesn't qualify intelligence as a behavior, as a characteristic of behaviors, more specifically.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. It does seem like he's talking about it as if it's, like you said, like if it's some sort of innate, like almost emotion that
Yeah,
we just have, like jealousy or anger or pride or pridefulness or, um, I mean, if that were true, then intelligence would probably be found through therapy, because then you
yeah,
would just need to
uh,
learn to regulate
mm,
it in the same way that you learn to regulate other emotions as you grow older, which some people unfortunately do not do, which is why
yeah,
we see people that have a lot of, anger issues and difficulty, in the way that they interact with people and treating people the way that they deserve to be treated.
yeah. The law number 4 is non-stupid people always underestimate the damaging power of stupid individuals. In particular, non-stupid people constantly forget that at all times and places and under any circumstances, to deal and or associate with stupid people always turn out to be a costly mistake.
Sorry, I was looking at the chat and I totally just missed what you said. Could you repeat? Was it number 4? Could you repeat it?
Yeah. So not stupid people always underestimate the damaging power of stupid individuals. Basically, uh,
Okay.
not stupid people uh, constantly forget that at all times and all places and are under any circumstances to deal with or being associated with stupid people always turn out to be a costly mistake.
Okay. All right. I think I might need you to repeat the last bit, but so non-stupid people, we always underestimate the power of stupid people, right? Is that what the first part was?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the second part?
The second one is that we always have stupid people around us, so
Mhm.
it turns out it always turn out to be a costly mistake. So
A
it will
costly mistake
always
too.
be, yeah.
Okay. What's the solution there then? Just not interact with, I mean, it's just it's an interesting set of ideas, but to say that we will always have stupid people around us and it'll always be a costly mistake, it's like what's the remedy for that then if that's your belief?
Yes, yeah. That's why
There is
we
no
need.
remedy.
I need to read his book because
Mhm.
I want to know what he thinks about this, what answer he
Yeah,
gives to this answer.
maybe we should read the book and then do another live stream after we read
Yes,
it so we
yeah,
can
maybe.
fully understand and have like a after we fully understand what this person's opinion is. Cuz yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it sounds like a very hopeless way of looking at the world. It almost seems like somebody who is very bitter about something.
Yeah,
um, Possibly politics, is what what I'm kind of getting from that, but that's probably just due to my personal experiences. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've definitely been in that place where I mean, I know I said we weren't going to talk about this, but with with a Rittenhouse, being not guilty, there does come this sense of hopelessness and like
yeah,
anger at the
definitely. Yeah.
stupidity.
Mm.
And I mean, obviously, it's more than just stupidity, but there are so many instances where it does just feel like because people will genuinely believe what they're saying, and they're going to look at me and they're going to think the same thing that I think of them, that they're stupid,
Yeah.
and it's hard. It's like this never ending cycle. And yeah, I guess I understand the point of like the place that you can be in to have the point of view that he has, but I don't know that I agree with it outside of that feeling of hopelessness.
But
um
the thing is, when you spoke about if we think they're stupid, they think we are stupid. In
mhm.
this case, it can be measured because the outcome of your actions usually they can be measured in a way. So we can know pretty
That's true.
pretty
That's
well
true. With
if
that
someone is,
circumstance, yeah.
yeah, yeah, we can take the average actions of a person and see how beneficial they are to themselves and how they are beneficial to societies, and that usually can be measured overall. So
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, there can be uh, at least partially objective way to measure stupidity in this framework.
Yeah, that's true. I think what's always gonna get in the way of that, even with what, he said, how we're always around stupid people, and the other point, besides just, like, education, I mean, I don't know, maybe, like, ideology. I don't think we can define that as education necessarily. Um,
Well, indoctrination is a form of education, I would say.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I see, I'm not gonna be able to get around that. I would have to read the book because 'cause I'm like, I just think I don't think it's just a product of nature. It has to be a product of nurture because I don't think it's with most humans' ability to feel empathy, I think it goes against nature to cause harm to others and not care that you're doing it.
Yeah, I
Um,
see what you're saying, and I think I agree. Yeah.
I mean, you could there's obviously other arguments to be made because most people when they talk about nature, they talk about how vicious and, evil the animal kingdom is, but we're humans, right? We're not lions, we're not bears, we're humans. And as a social species who has this ability to feel empathy, in the capacity that we do, so much so that we see our empathy extending beyond just our species, even if it's not enough to where we would say that it's morally correct. We do see people and individuals like genuinely caring about other species and caring about their rights and animal abuse and all of that stuff. So it does seem to me on the basis of that it does go against nature to say to be able to cause harm to our own species and not care about it, or just be aware that you're doing it. Unless the stupidity is to the point where you're not even aware that it's happening, but I don't know. I don't think you can really make that argument in a lot of cases, especially with politics, because usually they find some sort of justification for the harm that they're causing towards other people, but they're aware that it's happening. Like if they're taking money away from people that need it or they're disagreeing with socialized policies that help people that are in poverty, they're aware that there's people in poverty. They're just justifying taking it away.
Yeah, maybe what you said just popped something in my mind. Maybe the idea of stupid people here in his framework is when I tell you that I don't know, driving to go 5 minutes away is is negative for the planet and unneeded, and it harms it impacts your car in a bad way also. And if you keep doing it after I tell you, after I demonstrated it, and after even you believed it, if you keep doing it, then maybe that's when you can be called stupid, because uh, you know the harm it causes, and still, even to yourself, and still you do it.
I'm smiling because that has me thinking that maybe this book is more about how we're all stupid because we all actively do that every day. We
Yeah.
do mind,
Mm.
it would be extremely difficult, if not, I would say impossible, especially with the society that we have, to not cause harm to others unintentionally, or even like being aware that you're doing it, but just being so disconnected from the fact that you're hurting somebody that you're able to do it, like in the act of uh driving cars that use gasoline, in the act of um consuming
Using
meat
plastic.
from, yeah, using plastic. That's a great one.
Mm.
Which, I mean, we all do it all the time, unless all of your like cleansing products, your cleaning products, and your, like face wash and shampoos, unless all of that is not in a plastic bottle, then you are using plastic,
Mm.
right? You can like lower the rate that you're using it. There are ways to do that, but most of us are all using plastic at some point, and it's incorporated in our daily lives.
Yeah.
I mean, even like your cat food or something, or your litter or something, is
Mm.
going to
Yeah.
be in a plastic container. So, and most of us, yeah, we put it out of sight, out of mind, because in order to live in the society that we've built, it's not really possible. Especially for those of us that are, you know, middle class or lower. Um, it would be extremely difficult in the way that we would, but also it also just depends on how we prioritize things. Because even as somebody who I would say is probably kind of tilting that line between middle class and poverty, I definitely make choices for myself that just make me happy because I want to do it.
Mm.
If I maybe there's a certain product that I could get that's more vegan based or doesn't use plastic. And maybe that month I'm like, yeah, but I really want to spend $60 on this video game. So I'm not going to spend an extra like $15 to get this like vegan product when I could just get this for $4 and then spend the rest of the money towards a video game. I think we
Mm.
we all do that. Um so it's just interesting that you brought that up, because now I'm just thinking like we're all just stupid, and that's the guy's opinion. That's his point. We're because I don't know that it's possible to. We all harm each other in little ways, and I mean I'm sure you can measure it um to what's more harmful, but at the same time, the rate that we're going with the planet, and the way that we're able to just put it out of sight, out of mind. I mean, yeah. We're all kind of
Well,
being stupid in that regards, I guess.
yeah, the thing is, it doesn't harm us right away.
Yeah, yeah. And you
So
don't really
that's,
see the results right in front of your face. And when you
yeah.
do see the results, if we do see the results in 10 years or, 20 years, probably 10 years, when, the water starts rising and, Florida ends up going underwater, we're going to see the results, but then we're going to be able to attribute it to, we'll be able to blame, which rightfully so. I mean, we'll be able to blame our government, because they're the
Mm.
ones that kind of are holding all the power and that have kept us in prison to the society to where we feel like we don't have a choice. I mean, this would be a factor where it's like, okay, everyone should have universal basic income for one, to give us more freedom to make the right choices. And also, it's hard to acknowledge that your choice could have any impact because it's so minuscule when it's just you. And when you know that not everybody's going to be making the same decisions that you are. So I guess it's easy to brush aside because it can feel like it doesn't matter, because it's not like everybody's going to become vegan overnight, in that sense, or any of, suddenly stop using plastics, or everyone's going to recycle. Yeah.
I want to answer to Bernard Heretic. He says he's enjoying this stream a lot. And I will answer, I guess that's because there's a cat inside.
He is just I keep looking at he says getting Brina back for distracting me during my stream because I was distracting him when he was doing his stream earlier. You are a little
Oh,
bit. I've been successfully looking away. Like I see that he's typing and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna read that right now. Because I'll get distracted. Your cat is beautiful, by the way.
yeah, thanks. His name is Simba.
Oh, I
And there's
have
there's there's Nala sleeping over there.
oh, okay. I have Sir Pounce, which is my boy, and then I have Mooney, which is my girl. She's actually named Mooney because when I was really young, I made a gray cat in Sims and named her Mooney. So when I saw her, she looked just like the cat that I made in Sims. So I was like, I have to name her Mooney. But little funny tangent on about that. But
Yeah.
thanks, Luke, for watching and joining us. That's Bearded Heretic, by the way. His name's Luke.
So the last law is a stupid person is the most dangerous type of person. Again, in his framework, because he won't. How can I say that? He won't have the limitation of no, this will or may harm me, so I'm not going to do it, because he's going to do it anyway, even if it harms him. So he's going to do it regardless. So I guess that's why he says, yeah, they're the most dangerous type of person, and I in a way I would agree, because if you look at Trump, for example, the fact that he was stupid made him very, very dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although we could argue that if he had been intelligent, he would have been much, much more dangerous, probably. But I don't know. What do you think?
Well, but I guess that would depend. But see, I could say that him being intelligent could make him more dangerous, but that's probably on the way that we would normally measure intelligence, not this person.
Yeah,
Because
true.
for him, it's like because he would the level of intelligence would virtually be the same under these measures, kind of, not necessarily because I'm thinking about intelligence as him being more educated and like being able to, I don't know, maybe like read the paperwork that he signs and not need pictures in order to understand it. But yeah, I would say that could be more dangerous, or to just have critical thinking skills actually really would be more dangerous for him. But also, and the way that he measures stupidity, this person that wrote this, um, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm still kind of caught up in the fact that we're all kind of dangerous. I think what's most dangerous is a stupid person in power, I would say. I think we all have the capacity to be stupid and to harm others in little ways that we don't see right away. Um, and of course you can measure that against who is being more harmful. But I think what becomes even more dangerous is when you take a person that is willing to cause the utmost harm, utmost, I guess, outward harm to others, and then give them a lot of power and money and leadership and a position in government. And then, yeah, they're definitely one of the most dangerous people. The less power you have, I guess I would say the less dangerous you are, regardless of your intelligence. But
yeah, I guess it depends
at
on
least on a
the
wide
definition.
scale, I don't know. Because
Yeah,
like you
it
could
depends
harm
on.
more people with more power, I guess
Yes,
is
yeah,
how I'm
that's
seeing it.
yeah. Mm. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if we can or should measure the dangerosity of someone to the number of people they can harm. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, it yeah, it can be taken into account, but I don't know.
I think I find this way of thinking interesting. I'm intrigued by it. I want to know more. but I think it's too simplistic. I think it it doesn't really account for too many other outside factors that I think do
Mm,
have an impact on whether or not we are harming others, and that could include education and other forms of, all forms of education, whether that's ideologies or being book smart or just like a social, emotional intellect and self awareness. And I think it doesn't account for enough of those things. And I think intellect can be measured in so many different ways. And I mean, it's kind of like what you brought up at the beginning of the stream, because you brought up how, you know, how unfair we've been towards other species because of the way we measure intellect.
mm,
And we can do the same with our species too,
mm.
obviously, in the way that we measure intellect. There's too many factors, and it's not as simplistic as we like to try to make it, in any regards. It's a lot more complicated than just being one or two or five things. I think there is just so many factors that can come into play when you talk about intellect. And I guess it just comes down to there's different types. You can be really smart at one thing and really stupid at another thing.
Yeah, the reason why I liked this idea, um, and I think that you're right when you say that it's too simplistic. I agree with that. But the reason why it appealed to me is because the way I perceived intelligence, as I described it at the beginning, this adds a level of a social component to intelligence that appeals to me, because the way you act inside a society should define how intelligent you are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm intrigued by it because I think it definitely feels like it could be a part of what we could
Yeah.
define as
Mm,
intelligence. It just
yeah.
doesn't feel like it stands on its own. I don't feel like it's
Yeah.
enough by itself, but it's definitely something I think to take into consideration. I think it's an interesting way of looking at things, and it does feel like it's coming from the voice of somebody who has sort of lost all hope in humanity, because we've seen, regardless of your book smarts or what we call intelligence normally as a society, we've seen people, like, just regardless of where they're coming from or who they are, hurt people,
Mm,
as a whole. And we've seen it a lot in the way that our society is set up by those in power and by certain, government officials, regardless of what your nationality is or where you've come from. There's corruption in all governments, I would say, because you give anybody power and somebody's going to abuse it.
yeah.
Um, Not necessarily saying that the person with power is going to abuse it, but somebody is likely going to abuse the power
Yeah.
at some point. It's the natural sort of cycle of humanity, and it kind of sucks because it can get you into that hopeless place where you just feel like everyone's stupid and like we're all stupid and we all suck,
Yeah.
and our existence is awful. Is basically where I feel like that line of thinking gets you. I mean, even with this own author, because the comment he made again about we're always surrounded by stupid people, and what was it that he said? It's always going to be,
Uh,
um
a costly mistake.
yeah, but it's like, well, that includes yourself. Then we're all kind of stupid then, in that sense,
Yeah.
if that's how you see it.
Yeah, I guess
So
it's a spectrum.
yeah,
He sees it as a spectrum.
yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Um, I think Bearded Heretic has some more stuff in the chat though. He said, Bearded Heretic said, if stupidness is defined as harming themselves and others, then it seems to be dangerous by definition. Hmm. If stupidness is seen as harming themselves or others. I don't know. I feel like I need him to elaborate on that, because like I'm not sure what he means. Does he mean the idea is stupid, or
No,
the
I think he
concept of
means
being stupid is dangerous?
no. I mean, danger is measured by the harm we do to others, by the harm that's done.
Yeah.
So if you harm yourself and other people, then by definition, you are dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what he means.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was wondering if that's what he meant. Okay. I mean, yeah, if that's your definition of stupidity, then it's almost synopsis like a what's is that the word? Synonymous? I can't. Nope.
Synonymous.
Yes. With dangerous then.
Yeah.
You would almost be able to use them in some retrospects you'd be able to use them interchangeably almost. But I think it's one of the not to get all like existential here, but it does feel like one of the just innate flaws with humanity. I think there is a responsibility that comes with the ability to feel empathy that we have and the way that we try to create moral standards and understand the world around us and how we treat others. I think in a way that I don't know that we see with other species, not because they're not capable of it, but because most other species are inclined to just being, with their species, whereas humans, we interact with a lot of other species. So like I just feel like our awareness is like exceeds in that level a little bit with our ability and how we have sort of taken this power as far as like how we treat the planet and what we do, what we decide to do with other animals. And I just feel like that responsibility has it kind of leads us to having these like questions that where we're kind of forced to just I guess I'm kind of rambling here, but where we're kind of forced to ask ourselves if we're really the good guys,
Yeah.
if we are sort of the virus to the planet, do we have as much rights as we think we do? And it's yeah, it's kind of frightening when you go down that train of thought.
Mm. Yeah, Bernard Heretic is teasing you a little bit. Hey, hello, Han. Hello, Ann Ward. Nice to meet you. Yeah, is morality objective? So yeah, yeah. The what you were talking about, yeah, it leads to that question because you say, do we have the right to do whatever we want to the planet? Then, if we say yes, or even if we say no, that means that, or it could mean that we inherit our rights from something or some context, some rules that apply to us.
Yeah. I think that's where that whole like the tragic I guess the tragic way of humanity kind of comes into play because I don't believe that it's objective. That's what's so hard about it, but I think that there's a responsibility that comes into play when you have the awareness that our species has, when you are able to feel the empathy that we do. It's almost like it becomes a part of us to question morality and what is right and wrong. But at the end of the day, I do think we are defining it on the basis of what our goals are and what it is what is the means to the end that we want to come to. And when you have a specific means to an end, if you believe like in this definition, if you're going kind of with a stupidity definition that causing harms to others is immoral, then we're always going to constantly be in this battle with ourselves because it's almost like our natures are split into two. There's this part of us that has this empathy and therefore wants to do the right thing and wants to not harm other people. But then there is also a part of us that is innately selfish. Um, and it's like we're always going to be battling that within ourselves and within other people and other societies and other beliefs. And, it feels like there's never an end to
Yeah.
it, unfortunately. And I know I don't mean to sound so cynical because there's a lot of very lovely reasons to enjoy life and all of that. But when you have these it's kind of hard not to get cynical, I think, when you have these types of discussions,
Mm.
because they're questions that there isn't a clear answer to. And that can be hard to wrap your mind around and frustrating
Mm.
if you
Yeah.
get too stuck
Yeah,
on it,
indeed. Mm. Yeah. Do you have anything to add to to this?
I don't think so. Not right now. I'm going to read the book. I'm going to look it up after we get off of here so I can see how much it is and see if maybe take a look at it because I'm intrigued.
Okay, so we've been here for an hour, so we're going to wrap it up.
Mhm.
Can you just say where people can find you?
Yeah, of course. You can find me on YouTube, Brina Ryce, Brina with an I, Rice with a Y. And you can find me also at Brina Ryce on Instagram and Twitch. And then on Twitter, I'm Rice Writes Trash. Uh, it's a username that I had a while back and I never changed it, so that's what it is. And yeah, come hang out with me on YouTube. I haven't done Twitch in a while, but I might be doing that again soon recently. And you can come chat with me on Twitter. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
So, what's your latest game you're playing with?
Oh, the latest game that I want to continue is the Walking Dead story by Telltale, I think is
Hmm?
the game
Yeah.
makers. It's like a story game. I played the first episode and I haven't gotten around to the second one yet, so I need to do that. Other than that, the other games that I'm playing that are off air is I'm currently playing The Last of Us 2, and that's been hard. That's an emotional roller coaster. I will say that. I wish I could play it live, but I do it on my PlayStation, so I don't
Yeah.
really have the tools to stream it. But um, yeah, it's a roller coaster.
Okay, so thank you all for being here. Thank you, Birdie Heretic, for your interesting questions and comments. Thank you all for showing up. And if you like this discussion, please like the video, subscribe, share it, and everything you can do. And in the meantime, I'm going to say goodbye, everyone, and see you next time.